Welcome again to the High Uinta Wilderness Project. This will be a report on trip number 3 for the 2011 backpacking season. Remember, you can go to my website, cordelmanderson.com, for complete information and a tour of all aspects of the Uintas, along with a lot of other things like lightweight backpacking, survival, where do I get my energy, etc. I took off for this trip on Wednesday, July 13th, just after the U.S. women won another incredible game in the Soccer World Cup, beating France and qualifying for the final against Japan, which will be tomorrow, Sunday, July the 17th. Conditions this year have been unlike any other in my memory, and so before blindly going for my planned trip to the Crow Canyon area in the Dry Gulch Drainage, which is the smallest drainage in the Uintas, and to the Lake Fork trailhead, and then over 3 passes. I decided I would head for the Duchesne Forest Service Ranger Station and get some good up-to-date information about conditions. Uh, Duchesne is 100 miles from Springville, and it's, of course, the first town you come to in the Uinta Basin. And so this is a very important place. Lori seemed to recognize me from my telephone conversations, and apparently they've looked at my website and knew somewhat about the report that I posted on the trip up Hades Canyon to the Grandview Trailhead of a week ago, and all the flooding and how I decided to get out of there so I wouldn't get stranded. But they told me that that night that I got out of there, a tremendous rainstorm came up, and the road just below the splash dam actually got washed out, and so the canyon is closed until further notice, and it'll be a while apparently. And so if you want to go up to the Granddaddies, you got to go all the way up Lightning Ridge to the to Hades Pass and into the basin. Well, Sheila jumped in to help inform me about conditions in all the various places. And so between her and Lori, they showed me pictures of the trails. Here's one of the Granddaddy Basin of just a week or so ago, and then in the Brown Duck Basin, which is a trail that up to Two Rose Pass, etc. All of that area is in very bad shape. The trail very muddy. The trail oftentimes is just a river or a stream. Bridges are washed out. Two Rose Pass, of course, still has snow on it. And then they inform me about other areas along on the south slope of the Uintas, and you can see all of that information on my website. But I decided to take off, heading north into the Uintas, and enjoyed myself, of course. But as I was getting closer and closer to the Uintas, I all of a sudden was surrounded by storm clouds, and so I was going into the teeth of the storm, like they say. And eventually, I got to the turnoff road to Yellowstone Canyon. And this bridge here is over Lake Fork. You can see how big Lake Fork is. You wouldn't want to try and ford that on foot. And so I proceeded on, and the weather kept getting more ominous. And then I passed by the turnoff road to Hell's Canyon, which goes to the Center Park trailhead, and then dropped down into Yellowstone Canyon. And along the river, there's some ranches there that I remember years ago when I first saw them. I'm like, man, I'd love to have one of them. I have a cabin down along there somewhere. Well, here we are crossing Yellowstone River, which is huge. Once again, even upstream, it's impossible to ford. I went by the turnoff road to the Dry Gulch area and decided that I wasn't going to go over there. Sandy at the ranger station had told me not to. She says the jeep road that I would have to go up to get to Jackson Park is just it's impassable. But I had wanted to drive up to it anyway. But I decided I would go over to the Swift Creek trailhead and sleep the night there. And the next day, of course, was a good day, and I enjoyed myself taking pictures of a whole bunch of flowers, and here's just a few, and there's some displays there that I'm going to make a separate YouTube video of those displays, which has great historical information about the Uintas. And then up another 50 yards or so to the trailhead, and some very interesting entries in the register from this year. And there's just a few because they basically have these trails closed. You cannot ford the stream, Yellowstone River upstream, as I'll mention, nor the ford that goes over Swift Creek a couple miles up is impassable too. But a few people have been hiking in the area, and then was a page from last year which you see here is kind of interesting. You can hit the pause if you want and see if you can read what that says. But here's the sign of all the various places the trail leads to, and so up I went. I wanted to go up to the bridge that crosses over Swift Creek. I had an experience here that I'm going to make a special YouTube actual video of too. But you can see here how high Swift Creek is. Here you see it in 2006. This is sort of the way it normally is, and so it's just it would be impossible to cross. So I went up a little past there into the wilderness area up to where the trails divide. One going up Yellowstone Creek or Yellowstone River, and the other one up Swift Creek. And of course there's a notice there saying, hey, don't go. you can't get across the streams anyway, so why bother? Well, this happens to be the ford on Swift Creek back in 2006 when you could get across it. Now, of course, the way the river is, or the creek is, it would be extremely dangerous, if not totally impossible. This is the junction up 9 miles up where the Yellowstone trail divides, one going across the river and up into the Garfield Basin, and it's that trail, of course, you can't get across. Here you see Yellowstone River in normal conditions, and then here it is. This is downstream, of course, but this is the way it is today, so there's no way you could ford it. So I headed back down, enjoying myself as I always do. I'm just totally fascinated by the beauty of the great outdoors, and jumped in my vehicle and then headed for the Dry Gulch Road. And here we are coming up out of the Yellowstone Canyon and going east. And you can see what kind of a road it is. Once again, wonderful flowers. This is Hooker's onion, by the way. I've never seen quite so many in one spot. And then I came to the Forest Road 120 that goes to Jackson Park, and I went up a little ways, and it just started getting rougher and rougher, and at the same time my car started overheating again, and so I thought I don't want to be in a real remote area and have my car bad, and so I decided, okay, we'll scratch that one. And then I headed out and back over the where the Hells Canyon Road takes off. I decided, well, I'll go up and check it. I was told that since it's such a high trailhead, 10,500 feet, there'd probably be a lot of snow up there. But I drove up there, and hey, I didn't even see any snow up there. And there were 4 cars in the parking lot. One from Colorado, the rest from Utah, and a few entries in the register. This is where the road, one path takes off to Toker Lake, and then the other one up to the Garfield Basin. And so here you see the signs. Apparently the trail is muddy for a couple of miles, and then of course you get up over 11,000 feet and you're into the snow. And so it might still be a good idea to wait, as they suggested down at the ranger station. Hey, wait till August to do your backpacking. That's their suggestion. Well, down the road a mile I drove over to Mill Park, which is a beautiful place, and took in pictures of some of the pioneer fences, and then on down into sagebrush country again, and with the Seagull Lily, Utah State Flower, and a few others along the road, and then back to the ranger station to get up-to-date information from Sheila and Lori, and to also tell them what I had seen about the various trailheads and trails in the area. But I was investigating with them some historical information about the Hannah area, which years ago was known as Little Italy. And I have some incredible stories that I've got out of personal journals that as far as I can been able to tell, have never been published. And so I was asking them some questions, and they're going to send me some information. And then I was going to head for Hannah and the North Fork of the Cheyenne River to do some exploring. But they said, "Hey, don't go the normal way. That road got washed out in the big storm last night, and the girl got killed when their car drove off into a 40-foot deep gorge." And so I had to go up past up the highway, back up Highway 40, and then go over to Tabiona and Hannah, where around the Stockmore Ranger Station, I walked all over the sagebrush part and then down along the river where this ranger station used to be, looking to find some remnants of this, of what we could call as an old ghost town. And so I found some old wood, and if I don't find something better than this, I'll have to say in my book and in my reports, okay, these are the remnants of the old ghost town. Well, I went up to DeFay's Dude Ranch and to the saloon to see if I couldn't locate that personal journal that I had borrowed years ago. And so I learned where I could get it, and then I was given an article about Frank DeFay, who was a very colorful fellow, and so he'll be part, of course, of the whole story. And then, of course, I decided, okay, I'll head home up over Wolf Creek Pass once again, stopping to take pictures of some beautiful flowers, and here I am to watch the World Cup tomorrow and watch our girls beat Japan and become world champions, and then have my car fixed on Monday, and then next week I'll head out again.